Peach. I could eat a peach for hours. Please. Kiss me.
Donnie, you're introducing the show.
But I did Ghost Rider. This is Adrian now. Yeah, you did the last one.
Ah, son of a bitch. Okay.
Yeah.
Greetings
So it ain't
and
on me,
salutations,
bitch.
my fellow Americans. Welcome to Cage's Kiss, the ultimate Cage cast, where we discuss each of the National Treasure's cinematic masterpieces and his life, and glean whatever kernels of cagey wisdom we can from his character that week. I would be Stanley Goodspeed. I mean Ben Gates or Adrian.
My name is Linda, but this week you can call me, let's go with an American cheese again. I'm a Kraft.
Yeah, you can call me Mitch Wilkinson, and I'll kill you if you don't help me clean my family's name out.
Oh, excuse me. And my name is, sorry about that. My name is Tom Kenworthy, and I am the host of the Deddy Bones Show, my podcast. So this week, you can call me, I wasn't ready for this one. I wasn't ready for this.
Shaggoth the Dark Lord.
Oh, goodness.
You can
Goodness.
call
We'll just go with,
me out.
we'll just go with, yeah, you can call me Al.
Yeah.
Or you could call him Deddy Bones.
We have a special guest star, and I feel specialer for this having happened.
There you go.
It's all for you, Adrian.
Speaking of evil books and extra special, this is National Treasure 2 Book of Secrets that's happening right now for some ungodly reason.
National Treasure 2 Necronomicon.
That's right.
If only.
So I'm pretty sure that the National Treasure movies get made for the same reason that Joe D'Amato made the Ator movies, because there was a way more successful Hollywood movie coming out around the same time, and they're like, hey, let's ride those coattails once again. And so, Da Vinci Code happened, and then Angels and Demons happened. So National Treasure happened, and then National Treasure Book of Secrets happened.
Do you think they didn't make Dan Brown's third book in that series because National Treasure got made?
I hadn't actually considered that, but that's probably a pretty good reason for it. Oddly enough, that book in the series is the only one that I tried to read. And I say tried because even though I'm a real trooper when it comes to my books, I had to throw that one aside in disgust.
Threw it into the fireplace.
Yeah, I'm like, okay, so Washington, D.C., and they've unlocked noetic science, and they're going to make the world a better place through love or something. And I'm like, oh, God damn it. You really put this down in the book.
That one was weird. I listened to that one in audiobook form, so I didn't have to try to get through it. It just happened.
It just happened. You were
in the background,
foaming at the mouth.
I get the vision of Jodie Foster up against a pinball machine.
Do you read Dan Brown?
He just burst through the window of your restaurant with a sledgehammer. Much like Dan Brown, somehow this sequel returned more harder and made way more money.
I've never understood how not good movies make lots of money.
Yeah, no, the less good it is, the more money it's guaranteed to make. That's just for example, so this came out on December 21st of 2007, and it opened at number 1. And other movies opening that week, much better movies, I might add, were Charlie Wilson's War and Walk Hard.
Wow.
Yeah, it did open ahead of Sweeney Todd and I Am Legend and P.S. I Love You, but those were like further along in weeks.
And P.S. I Love You had Kathy Bates, so it had that going for it.
I'm just surprised Walk Hard is 13 years old.
Oh my God.
I know.
God damn it! Like, why did you say that?
Well, I'd like to add a little bit more perspective here, since I don't usually get to do this. But we've done several Cage movies for 2007 now. It was a very dark year.
One might say too many.
And you know, this dates back to a time when I saw a lot of movies in the theater, and I got to see the considerable god awful decline in cinema in general following 9/11, with the massive backlash of censorship and everything becoming squeaky clean. And 2006, 2007 was around the time where that stuff started to peel back to some degree, and you started to get like good Coen Brothers movies again, and you got There Will Be Blood.
Yeah.
And you know, movies that you don't look back on with very much cringiness. And so while this is going on, while the waters are clearing a little bit, movies like National Treasure, Book of Secrets are getting made. So
yeah.
it's like,
Christmas movie too, so it's like it's gonna get at least that first weekend. It's gonna make a ton of money because it's
right.
Christmas.
Well, that's all they
Right.
camp about, you know, like
And it's
whatever
Disney.
happens in the moment, you know. And then it hits DVD, and they tack the 2 onto the title so you don't get confused, and they make their money all over again.
Ugh.
So this was nominated for some awards, you guys.
For real?
What?
Yeah,
Go.
Nicolas Cage and Jon Voight were both nominated for Golden Raspberry Awards
Oh.
for Worst Actor. They were competing, and they each did several movies this year. So they had a couple of performances that they were nominated for. I'm not sure if that's when Jon Voight was in Baby Geniuses too.
Oh.
Yeah, but no, they lost. They all lost to Eddie Murphy for Norbit.
Oh,
Jesus.
that'll do it.
Yeah. it's tough to beat the king.
Well,
You know,
he's redeemed himself since. I'm sorry, what were you saying?
Continue.
Oh no, I was gonna say that like I forgot how many movies Nicolas Cage did.
Yeah.
Oh, so
Yeah,
many.
no, he keeps us very busy. He does several every year.
It's good. Well, and a friend of mine said, well, it's because he never says no to anything. He
Yeah.
can't.
He really
Mhm.
doesn't. He doesn't. That word's not in his vocabulary.
Well, he's
I
like one of
remember-
the hardest workers in Hollywood.
It's such a
You
tragedy.
know-
It's like you see this guy taking all this studious work that he does in his acting that won him an Oscar, and then using it on movies like Wicker Man and National Treasure, Book of Secrets.
So he's the
Yeah,
hardest working man, just not in Hollywood. But I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. No worries. I saw some interview video, one of those like online, technique critique things with that going through his body of work and interviewing him. And like, I was really surprised to see his like approach and his background and his influence of, French
Mhm.
filmmakers and all this kind
Yeah.
of stuff. And I was like, wow, that's really impressive. But like, how did it end up in, this movie?
Yes.
Yeah,
How does that artistic approach come to a movie like this?
Welcome
you
to
should
my
say
world.
that.
I think
Because
this is why the studios love him.
in the commentary, they were saying in the elevator scene with the flowers, when he was kind of looking bashful over the flowers, he was channeling the skunk from Bambi.
Yeah.
Jeez, I thought so.
You could call me a flower if you
And he just
want
like
to.
kind of blinks
I
his
don't
eyes
mind.
or bats his eyes.
Yep.
Eyes and it's yeah. But
Yeah.
for
And while
every
John Turtletop was raving about how his prop people had to reassemble that bouquet in the 3 different countries they shot that scene in, and I'm thinking it's like, can't get yourself some plastic flowers and just kind of cart them around.
right.
We wanted to waste the whole $200 million.
He
Well,
would
we
know.
have to remember that for every movie like National Treasure 2, we get something good like 8mm. Well, not for everyone,
We
but-
used to. We've sort of tracked the decline.
Well, it also helped feed his debts.
Well,
I thought you were just gonna say his
Goddamn.
cocaine habit, but
the
call it
cat's
what
out of
you
the bag
want.
on that one. We figured out about the debts, like
Yeah.
it turns out it wasn't all the dinosaur skulls. It was all the houses.
Houses and yachts and
Him and
islands.
Leonardo DiCaprio playing tug of war over a dinosaur skull. It's mine. It's mine.
I mean, he is the guy that spent $1 million on a Superman comic book.
Yeah.
That's true, and it was stolen.
Was it?
Yeah. In fact,
you
they're
have
thinking
to
about making a
return
movie
that
out of
one
it.
to the Mongolian government
But
too.
Linda, was it?
Was it?
They
Hey,
found it later.
I'm glad you brought this. So Justin Bartha is back as Riley Poole in this sequel, and he has the
Yeah.
conspiracy theory book.
Mm.
And in the movie they bring up the Lincoln assassination conspiracy theories. They don't really give them much credence, but they bring up some of them. And Riley's book also he's talking about Area 51. And German girlfriend's like, "Oh, Riley, that is ridiculous. There's no such area as 51. That could not be." So there was so everybody probably remembers from the late 70s that movie Hangar 18 with Kolchak the Night Stalker and so Hangar 18 was made by this really small movie machine I guess production company who also did The Lincoln Conspiracy. which proposed one of the assassination theories that Booth had actually escaped, and that Lincoln's cabinet head were the ones who were plotting to have him killed.
Dun, dun, dun.
Dun, dun, dun. And that's what the little kid is screaming at Cage in this movie.
Okay. I was wondering what the Kevin Bacon 7 degrees thing was coming in on this
Yeah.
one. Not. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, so there's a little mention of each thing, and and everybody out there, you need to watch more terrible movies that aren't just the ones we talk about. There's a whole world of terrible movies.
Just waiting for you.
Yeah. Double pleasures waiting for you.
That's what I miss about most about Hollywood Video and Blockbuster is when we were living together and you worked at Hollywood Video and you would bring home the trashiest shit.
Oh yeah, no, just whatever.
Get drunk and see how many we can make it through.
They had
Without
Lifetime
vomiting.
movies and shit. Yeah.
Oh God, yeah.
Well,
I still have Mom at 16
Oh,
somewhere.
God damn it. Mother May Sleep with Danger.
No.
The DVD I have of National Treasure 2, by the way, is an old Blockbuster copy.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah, I think I got it at Google or someplace like that.
Nice. Yeah, I went through a phase of when Blockbuster put out their Movie Pass, and
Oh,
just
yeah.
go and just rent all movies all day long. And that was about the time that it was around the time this movie came out. So it was 2007, 2008 when Nicolas Cage really started to just make some weird movies, Wicker Man and all that kind of stuff. So I definitely saw a few of those. And it was weird to see because I had seen at the end of high school, a friend of mine thought that Nicolas Cage was the greatest actor ever. And so
Well,
that might have been true, depending on what year that was.
this would
yeah,
have
or
been
what movie? Yeah.
this would have been about 2003. So he was oh, The Rock,
Whoa.
he got Con Air, and all the 90s.
He'd done adaptation. I mean, it was actually true for a brief shining second.
Yeah, and 8mm, Bringing Out the Dead. Yeah, he had some good stuff.
What would your
And-
friend
and
say?
I don't know what his response was to Wicker Man, but it was just what happened
Yeah.
on
Yeah.
his-
Yeah.
that
No,
whole that's and then
Yeah.
just suddenly us as consumers have access to movies constantly. You get to see everything. It's just very weird how stuff like that happens. How weird movies
that can
and
be a
bad movies
blessing
get
or
made.
it can be a curse.
For sure.
And in the years since, those of us who've made full use of the internet, when so much the whole oeuvre of an artist's work is suddenly available. Somebody's like, oh, this person's great. They did this one song, and then you get their discography. You're like, oh fuck, no, they're not. They're really not.
Yeah.
They had a whole song, and that was it. I've wasted my life. I'm going to go cry.
Well, I think also that he could possibly be one of the greatest actors of our time, but the problem is that he needs the paycheck sometimes, and he just kind of phones it in.
Well, I mean, let's think about some other people who were really really great actors, and they're remembered more for earlier stuff. I mean, Rod Steiger. If you see anything Rod Steiger made in the last 2 decades of his life, you just turn away in shame. George C. Scott,
That's good.
Marlon Brando.
Well, and for that matter, Chris Farley. I mean, he was a great comedic actor, but then he was choosing kind of shit before. And Tom, oh God, I didn't even think about John Candy.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
what was it?
Chris
Going
Farley,
West.
Wagons East.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's it.
I never
yeah.
saw that one. I saw the other one, Almost Heroes.
Mm.
That one's fine. Yeah.
It was fun. It's
Yeah.
better than people give it credit, but
Well, and like one of my favorite actors, Paul Giamatti, he said for he had to do things like Big Mama's House and Big Mama's House 2 so he could get
And
money
don't
for his
forget
kids.
Paycheck with Ben Affleck. Just last week we were talking about Paycheck.
Oh, dude. No, what was it? No, it wasn't Kiss Kiss Bang Bang. What was it with Clive Owen?
Oh, I fucking love Shoot 'Em Up. Yeah.
Yes, Shoot 'Em Up was so goddamn good. But he was saying that for every, Big Mama's House, or for every American Splendor, you're gonna have a Big Mama's House too.
It's okay. He did
or
Sideways.
3.
Everything's fine.
Yeah. He's okay.
Yeah, he's okay.
And I loved his show, the Lodge 49. That was fucking awesome.
Yeah, he also did that shitty movie from the Project Greenlight as well, too. The
Oh.
Forgotten Summer, Forever Summer.
That
something.
shitty movie from the Project
Yeah.
Greenlight. You're
With
gonna
Shia
have to be more
LaBeouf?
specific.
Wasn't
That's
that Shia LaBeouf in that?
I have no idea. It's been
Shia
so
LaBeouf, star of Holes.
So, Book of Secrets.
Yeah. Oh,
Oh, yeah. So this was a thing.
So how does the Blair Witch get into this one?
oh, yeah. If only this had been one of those sequels. Right? If only this had been one of those cash in, like year later, like straight to video sequels with no relation. Hey, we're here in the woods looking for the secret of the national treasure. That movie was cool. Turns out it was a real conspiracy. We're going to Benedict Arnold's grave. Oh my God, I'm so scared right now.
You can laugh at that, but seeing Nick Cage looking at them like flour between flowers while they're camping, going, "So you guys looking for national treasure?"
I thought you were going to say, "Let's go eat at Binnikin's."
Yeah.
That would have been better. If you want to hear something really sad, Helen Mirren missed out on an opportunity to visit Queen Elizabeth because she was filming this goddamn movie in South Dakota.
Yeah.
Oh.
So Helen Mirren, if anybody knows her work from earlier in her career, will be surprised that in National Treasure 2, she's never topless. Never.
Yeah. Sadly.
No, come on. She used to always be topless, at least once in something. It didn't matter what it was. Like you'd see him.
Would it have improved this movie?
Yes.
Yeah. And unclenching would have improved this movie. Because this is one of those we're in Sullivan sequel territory here. We're very neck deep in sequelitis on this one. It's one of those where like, oh well, the characters were all in love and on top and happy at the end of the first movie. We need to reverse that so everybody can get back together and have to win all over again. We need some fresh drama in the sense that we do it all over again. Yeah. So the relationship is in the doghouse, so it's like at the beginning of another stakeout. Yeah, their reputation has been tarnished, so it's like Ghostbusters 2. They're going to have to do it all over again, only bigger, like most sequels ever.
Once we get past the plot of this, there are a lot of questionable actions made and choices in this that really make no sense.
Well, that was one of the most illuminating things about having listened to the commentary, though. It's John Turtletom admitting a few times that there was no finished script.
Yeah.
I can see that.
Shooting most of this movie, they didn't know what the treasure was going to be.
Yeah, no shit.
It made me wonder, why didn't they just kidnap or talk to a former president? Wouldn't that have been fucking easier?
No, you gotta kidnap a Canadian playing the president, Bruce Greenwood.
You were going to say something, sir?
Oh, I've forgotten already.
I'm sorry.
Happens
because it was written in the Book of Secrets.
I'm sorry. I can't tell you now. It's too late. It's gone.
So
we're gonna have to kidnap Deddy Bones.
We're gonna have to go back in time.
So, like, the plot of this is that they first have to besmirch Cage's family's name by saying that he was in on the assassination plot against Lincoln.
Somebody who's been dead for 150 years.
Yeah.
And now they got to take action because Who gives a shit again?
Yeah, exactly. That's what we're trying to understand with this. Even like Lucille was asked the same thing. She's like, okay, so his family's name is besmirched from a few hundred years ago assassination. Who cares? It's like, well, they care because they're as American as can be.
Understand, Donnie. They're Masons. Their honor is at stake at every turn, every step of the way.
Well, and obviously it's true because that kid in the White House lawn was giving him shit for it. So obviously,
yeah, people are bringing it up all the time. It's like, hey, aren't you the guy that killed Lincoln?
Yes, everybody fucking
It's
knows.
like, but who the fuck would even care?
He can't go into Whole Foods like that now. No one can. Jesus.
I was going to read my Birkenstocks.
And it bugs me that like they never even really resolve that.
I know.
No.
I know we're jumping towards the end of the movie, but it's just like, oh, here's the headlines from tomorrow.
It's like because they fail to actually preserve the connection between the lead and whatever the hell that picture was supposed to be.
It's just kind of mentioned in passing, like, yeah, I'm sorry I besmirched your family's name just to get you involved with this treasure. But then it's like he also constantly makes choices like this, where he's like, yeah, I'm sorry about that. Okay, I'm gonna have to kill you now if you don't do what I say. He's like, oh, thanks for helping me find this. I'm gonna kill you.
Yeah,
was seriously
it's like John
bipolar.
Malkovich in Con Air. It's like, well, the writer says this now, so I'm gonna have another mood swing.
Yeah.
Like that bothered me too, because he'd be like, "Oh, I'm the bad guy. I'm gonna kill your mom. Tell me where the treasure is. I'm gonna die saving you." Like,
there is something that did make sense because it's how me and Linda grew up, so I didn't question it too much. But when Ed Helm told them, "Hey, stop them," and his bodyguard pulled out a gun, it reminds me of when Linda would decide, oh shit, I want to go to the market with you guys. So she goes crashing through our window, firing a pistol at us until we stop and she gets in the car. It's like, that was just normal for us. So I don't question when someone says, hey, they're getting away, stop them. And his first instinct is to pull a gun out and start shooting at them.
Dude, I really wanted a Mr. Goodbar. Like, fuck.
I know,
I
right?
was gonna say one of those good
Just one
bars.
Charleston Chew. But yeah, also that raises a question. Why would you shoot someone if they say they're getting away? Did he say to kill them? No.
Maybe the screening process isn't so good. You know, maybe that guy kind of slipped through. They get themselves a psychopath.
You know, in my notes, my personal notes from the movie, it says
secrets.
Yeah, my little notes of secrets. I've got at 1 hour 14. I just remembered that Ed Harris was in this movie because he's not there for the longest time. They got right.
Ed Harris, and it's like, but you didn't kill Sean Bean at the end of the first one. You just killed his friend or whatever. It's like you could have just had him come back.
Maybe.
I mean, I'm not dissing Ed Harris. I mean, I like Ed Harris. But,
I think he was kind of the weak link. Like if the movie had a good villain and a well-written villain, like with good motivation, it could have held a lot of the other stuff together. But then, you know, because I watched it the first time like 10 years ago and just remembered hating the end of the movie. I didn't remember anything else. I just remember hating the ending and then not watching it again.
Disintegrated.
Yeah. And then I watched it again last week and halfway through the movie, I was like, this isn't great, but it's not horrible. And then as soon as they got to Mount Rushmore and it just all started, it all came rushing back. I was like, oh yeah, that's why this movie is so horrible. I'm sorry I besmirched your great granny's daddy's name. I wanted to be famous. And now I'm going to sacrifice.
He did it all so that he could be a famous little boy too.
And that's even funnier, like at the end, after he's like, no, I'm going to kill your wife unless you let me go first. It's like, okay. And then as soon as it crashes and he's stuck there, he's like, you just remember that, you know, to tell him that I did something good. It's like, you just threatened to kill my wife, bitch. And then as soon as they're rescued, they're like, okay, yeah, you guys are famous. You solved this treasure. And he looks to his wife, she's like, okay, yeah, go ahead and tell me he was a good guy. It's like, yeah, he also helped us do stuff.
I mean, he's whatever we want him to be now that he's dead. He can't like screw up and have another mood swing and put a gun in my mom's stomach. Sure, he was a good guy.
Yeah. Oh,
but they thought they really thought though that they were having the moment there.
I found a review from New York Times.
Oh, did you?
Like its predecessor, National Treasure, This sequel amounts to a bunch of crossword puzzle answers stitched together with explosions, chases, and displays of intuitive reasoning that the Twin Peaks FBI agent Dale Cooper would reject as too right-brained.
Well, no,
Yeah.
it's because any plot that happens to be there is completely incidental to them just piling
Yes.
on the sequelisms that they
Yeah.
think are going to keep the bums on the seats. For
They
example,
should have
just like
called it. Sorry, go ahead.
What I should have called it?
National Treasure 2: The Search for More Money.
The Search for More Money.
Yeah.
More money.
But like, no, they even have the Beverly Hills Cop 2 scene where Cage cages very loudly to make a scene in front of a crowd. You
Yes,
know,
that's right.
this man kills cops for money.
I'm not making a
Haggis!
scene. I'm not making a scene.
Now, don't get me wrong. It's still that is the best scene because there's a movie with no movie in it, and seeing Cage do cageisms is what you came to see. You know?
Mhm.
Yeah.
But they throw in his mom too, and have second relationship drama between mom and dad. You know,
Yeah.
that's where we get Helen Mirren. So there's other characters tacked on. So it's like Lethal Weapons 3 and 4. Like, hey, let's just have more every movie. Sure, tack them all on. You know, and then the third one, Sean Bean will be back, and he'll have turned over a new leaf.
And
Welcome
his
to Hollywood.
girlfriend-
And they'll add Rob
right?
Schneider.
And his
Rob
girlfriend
Schneider is-
didn't really do anything.
Yeah.
Or did I miss
Wait,
something?
wait, you're talking about the German girlfriend?
He has a German girlfriend.
Because, you know, her accent also is less apparent in the sequel. I was very disappointed.
You
Well,
mean the
apparently. I'm
Pennsylvania
sorry.
Dutch?
Yes.
Right.
yes.
I bet you're something really charming and American instead of German like you sound.
Well, she
No,
is
it's-
American.
it's-
She wanted those Boston tea
Yeah.
tables.
Yeah, thank you for bringing up the Boston tea tables. It's all about antiquing. It's an
Yes.
antiquing adventure. Look, I found this thingy in the desk. Oh, goody.
I do have to agree with our guest though, and I'm sorry we got interrupted again, but when they got to the Mount Rushmore thing, I checked out because it's like this brought back shakes and PTSD from the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. As
Yes,
soon as they go and
yes,
solve the
very
puzzle,
much.
and suddenly it's like, oh my god, look at this intricate shit going down. It's like, no.
Yeah, don't you just love it when they get down to the City of Gold? And at this point in the audio commentary, John Turteltaub is raving about how amazing CGI is and how seamlessly they created this glittering city. It's so impressive. It is, and you're sitting there watching, and you're like, it's like they got Hollywood actors and they put them on a green screen and screened a sci-fi original movie behind them.
Yeah. Please, I'm sorry. Please continue before you forget again.
Oh, yeah. That scene, it's underwhelming for sure. Gold is one of those weird things that, like, unless you're looking at it in person, a lot of it is not that impressive, especially any CGI version of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because try to make a city of gold, it's like it's either yellow or brown.
Right.
Do you have like a Scrooge McDuck sort of like pool of gold?
money?
I
Do
mean,
you speak from
you know,
experience?
my podcast has been taking off just through the roof. I'm just
You're
rolling in
paid in
spots.
doubloons.
Remind our
That's the
listeners
only
of the
payment
name of
you're-
that podcast.
Oh yeah,
That's
so
how Patreon pays you.
yeah, exactly.
Your Patreon
Yeah.
pay us all.
Yeah.
Futures in gold.
Oh.
No, that scene at the end though. It not only is it underwhelming just from the way it's rendered, but it's like in terms of imagination, it's just utterly bankrupt.
Yeah,
You know,
but
it's
now we're
like-
gonna get to find out in part 3 what was on page 47.
Maybe.
Page 47. Were you setting up a sequel there? Page 47.
Well, he said in the commentary that everybody thought that was setting up for a sequel,
Right.
but he said that he had no intentions of letting people know what was
No,
on page
no,
47.
This is a dual sequel actually, because with the Book of Secrets, he again becomes Stanley Goodspeed from
He
The Rock.
does, yeah.
Yeah.
Ugh.
But I'm glad you brought that up because I asked on Twitter what people thought that they'll steal or kidnap in part 3. And Kristen from Coffin Cast said our hearts, but I think that was like a while ago. That's already been taken.
Speak for yourself.
The Kiara Williams said, I'm going to steal the earth.
A flat earth.
I don't know how it works, but I want to see it.
Well, yeah,
The
that'd be right in line with the first two.
the bumbling ponderer is at ponderer said, whatever it is, I'm hoping it's in outer space. Yes.
Jesus.
Getting some airplane 2
Yes,
territory there.
exactly.
They'll pull a Hellboy. He'll have to defrost a monster god and discover his true purpose.
Or like Leprechaun.
Hey, Leprechaun 4 in space is an achievement.
Obviously, you didn't
Oh,
pay
yeah,
enough
it is.
attention to the color out of space because that's a setup for the sequel to National Treasure 3.
That
That's
was
why
the
there's
hidden
elder
message I missed.
gods. It's a
And
mid-credit
finally,
sequence.
I don't know if it's Yachtcast or Yatcast. It's let's see, at REAL real YAT cast. They said surveillance tapes from Epstein's cell.
Ooh.
Jesus, topical.
Disney goes a little dark. I have to say that the bumbling ponderer won with whatever it is. I'm hoping it's in outer space. Like, yes, I want to
Cage
see it
is
so
gonna
bad.
steal the Grand Grimoire to do the unmaking.
Yes. Will Julian Sands come back?
Lightning has a power beyond ours.
Beyond
Just,
our
you know,
imaginations.
Get a little more on his level. They're gonna steal the recipe to KFC. That's all it is.
Oh,
There's
so
14
Yeah,
herbs and
what's the
spices.
Tiger Lily?
Herbs and spices.
Yeah.
You're gonna find out why I keep getting pink in the middle of my McDoublicious sandwich.
There you go.
Oh, gross.
So this movie, it might have been a simple problem of editing when you get right down to it. I think that if they had opened with the part where Cage and the President go under Mount Vernon and discover the secret passage, if they open on that, I think they could have this could have been a fun one like Deathstalker 2. Do kind of an in media res thing, like I shall have my revenge and Deathstalker 2.
Oh, and I'm sorry, I missed Tom's answer. Dan Brown crossover. I'm gonna steal the Pope.
Oh,
Yeah.
Wait! If you cross it over the movie, that means you can have Ewan McGregor.
mm.
Even
That's right.
yeah. I mean, he was in my face off for the first one.
Oh, good luck if he's got the high ground. You gotta get
Oh,
shit
man.
down.
Oh, Cage half his face off, just sort of on fire with no legs. That's what you
He
can't
would
see.
do it. Be like Ricky
So
Bobby
City-
running
City
around
of
on
Gold.
fire.
Your city
Yes.
of gold, instead of filling up with water, just starts to fill up with lava.
There you go.
I mean, why not? It couldn't have possibly looked worse than that Hobbit movie that Peter Jackson did.
Yeah. Then he can have a scene where he's kicking his father off of his boot. Go, I have had enough of you.
Given how recent John Voight's been, that'd be just fine, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
You were supposed to be an Oscar winner.
Well, hold on. They may need him for the Anaconda remake they're doing. So.
Yes, please.
Wait! That would destroy the continuity of Anacondas. The Hunt for the Blood Orchid.
Oh, I
Yeah,
thought you were
wasn't
going to say the
John
Nicki
Voight in that?
Minaj Anacondas.
Oh,
No, just like her, I don't want none. Just
Yeah.
unless it got buns, hon.
Jeez.
But didn't Anacondas have John Voight?
That's the first one.
Oh,
he
right,
was
right.
talking about the first one, and I was getting a little sad because they made sequels.
Why didn't we just watch that instead of this, or
Because
like
you
Feeders
wanted to
2
watch
instead of
Jennifer
this?
Nick Cage
Lopez is
films.
this podcast isn't called Voight's Kiss.
Yeah.
Dude,
Why
it's so
not?
depressing if you made a podcast about John Voight's movies. Like, look, here's that one from the 70s where he's supposed to be German.
At least I know we'd probably get him on here.
You couldn't keep him away. You mention his name and he appears.
Yeah, don't say his name 3 times in a row.
Right?
Oh,
That's what
God.
Donnie and I used to do as
Just say,
kids.
Joe Estevez would be like, well, let me call you back. Whereas, the Voight would just appear.
Yeah, with a copy
Looking
of
for me? I got lost on the way to the Golden Corral. I was in a movie with Helen Mirren, the Queen.
Yeah,
You know
but
my
he wouldn't
daughter?
be insightful. Every time you mention a movie, you're like, "Oh yeah, that was a good one." It's like, and well, yeah, that was good.
Yeah, great in the commentary there. It was like, oh, everybody was just so amazing, and you, Mr. Turtletop, were so great, and everybody was just so wonderful and good.
Yeah, unfortunately, John Voight is not on Cameo. So much for that.
Yeah.
Oh,
Damn.
Gotta love more of the same fighting Americanism that this sequel
yeah.
did. Like how Riley Poole writes the book because the IRS took away his Ferrari and all his money.
Yeah, and just like the first one, he still gets his Riley moment where they all have to depend on him to actually give them something, and he's so proud of it because that means it's in his book, which
If
nobody
we were
cared about.
timing it, I'm sure it would come up at the same minute mark too.
Yeah.
I know something you don't know. Me, Riley Poole, who wrote this book no one will buy.
Yeah.
But
Well,
he
he
gets laid
did
at
find
the end,
love.
so-
Yeah, he did find someone.
Yep. Girlfriend to girlfriend. Yeah, now everything's fine. That's all he needed.
Yes. Just like a Ice Age movies, everyone's gonna have a partner the next one.
Speaking of sequels.
Oh. Speaking of which, the girl at the end looked familiar. Was it like January Jones? No, it wasn't January Jones.
Oh, did
I
her
gotta figure out
face
who she
also
was.
start bleeding, and did she just start screaming at you when you were watching it? Or was that just my version?
Was she the one who was in was
Thank
in
you.
Seeking Justice with Cage?
I don't think so,
Who's in
but
that god awful movie that we're gonna have to watch at some point?
I think it was your mom.
It was my mom.
Oh,
God damn. Why?
It was your mom, but not Donnie's mom. Figure that one out.
Yeah, what?
No, we've known about other mom for a while, so
What?
joke's on you.
What?
If you lose mom, you could just recreate her by holding her up to the traffic cam. It helps if it's through glass with a reflection on it going at like 60 miles an hour, at a great distance. You just
Yeah.
enhance that shit.
Exactly.
Oh, yeah.
Enhance.
Perfect.
the greatest Hollywood technology trope: enhance.
Yes.
Enhance.
Exactly.
Enhance is especially fun if you're watching a TV show with a low effects budget. Like sometimes I'll just throw on like whatever Amazon's got. I'm like, oh, I haven't seen that show for a while. I hate it, but I need something on. Like I had Law and Order SVU1, and they do the enhance, and it's literally just a screensaver dissolve, or like does the pixel dissolve. It's like, oh, no one is fooled.
Those were the worst for that. It's just like, here's a super blurry picture. Enhance. Perfect picture. High definition picture.
And rendered instantly.
Yeah.
One of my favorites that not a lot of people catch is from Jurassic Park, the first one, where when they're watching the video call of the guy talking to Nedry, who's waiting for him at the boat while the storm's going on, if you look at it, that's a QuickTime video playing. It's not a phone call. It's a QuickTime video.
Nice.
There's a little counter on the bottom that shows you the video getting toward the end of the clip.
Yeah, there's a lot of them where they just didn't bother to like have anybody put anything on the screen. They're just like, oh crap, we'll just throw this in.
Because it's technology. You don't
Well,
have to
they'll be
explain it.
like, look, we're combining the molecules, and it's clearly just like the Macintosh version of MS Paint or something.
Yes, exactly.
We'll fix it in post.
You guys see a Universal Soldier: The Return, where there's like the 50-year-old quote unquote hacker guy whose base of operations is the gas station, and everything on his screen is a PowerPoint presentation.
Oh boy.
It is sad beyond sad.
What's sadder
it's
than
good
sad?
to say 4 movies we talk about, oh, why did this actor's performance so bad and this and that? Well, there's so many other people who make a movie besides just an actor.
Yeah.
Directors, writers, producers. Right. This is one of those cases where it's like they were all doing something different at the same time.
And I think there's 5 different credited writers on this one.
Yeah.
And I think some of them it's just because they were in really good with the Writers Guild, because 2 of them have story credits on the first movie, but were not credited in the movie's actual credits.
Yeah,
Well,
but then
and
there's
that
story credits and then
includes-
the written by credits too.
yeah.
Yeah, and remember, like with the way the Writers Guild works, a screenplay credit doesn't necessarily mean you wrote the screenplay either.
No.
Yeah, 'cause,
And some of those writers include the Wibberleys. The Wibberleys.
what do the Wibberleys do?
You just got Wibberleyed.
Uh,
Do they do the wibbly
Is it
wobbly walk?
They wobble, but they don't fall down. I think.
Yes. Well, let's see. It looks like, oh God. They wrote for Charlie's Angels Full Throttle
oh God damn it! Oh, fuck.
and The
Speaking
Sixth
of
Day
sequels,
with Arnold Schwarzenegger
Oh Jesus!
again, big pile of
That
shit.
was right. That was a movie.
and I Spy.
Oh
Wait,
God, the
oh,
Leslie
okay,
Nielsen
speaking of
one.
Eddie Murphy, all right, yeah, we're all the way around now.
Oh, they also wrote for G-Force, which is coming up for us.
Oh God, the hamster movie.
Yeah. And
Oh,
Bad
I
Boys
forgot
2.
that thing was a thing.
Right?
I think most people did.
I gotta head out now. No.
Yeah, please do.
I forgot I left a cat in the oven.
We'll go and get Arby's.
You want the watermelon and the cat?
Yes. Oh, they also wrote for the Shaggy Dog in 2006.
Oh, wait, was that the one with Tim Allen?
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, yeah, Tim Allen with the leech and collar. It's like, oh, okay, it's about his time in prison.
Jesus Christ.
Oh boy.
So, Book of Secrets.
Yeah. Did you guys like how they go to the Library of Congress and they solve the combination lock and out this dusty drawer pops out and the Book of Secrets is a leather-bound journal sold at Barnes and Noble?
Oh, that's another thing we have to pay homage to was Borders Books. That's
Yeah.
where Riley was at
Speaking
first
of
sight.
dating this film, yeah, they shot in the actual Borders books back when there was
Yeah.
books.
Oh, I miss Borders.
Rest in peace. They just wanted to be famous. And that's,
That's right. Of the two, I would have let Borders books take my mom hostage. I have many fun
Yeah.
memories of them.
I mean, half the time they already did. I mean, she's going to Borders. Who knows when she's going to be back?
That's right.
We found this book with Borders. I can remember Borders.
I have a lot of my old books with the Borders price tag still on them, and I'm leaving them on just for old time's sake.
I found Atlantis while traveling through Bed Bath and Beyond in the Beyond section.
Beyond section.
Beyond section.
Was
I'm
Christopher
gonna
Walken there?
my daughter and talk like this.
That was one of my favorite Family Guy jokes. Just stay away from that Beyond section, and then just falling through the universe, just shooting stars playing in the background.
And I've never been defeated, well, except for that one.
Oh. Oh man, this fucking movie. It's like a case of diarrhea. You just want it to be over with.
Well, adding to the chaos too, they fired the DP partway through shooting.
Really?
So they started off with that Amir guy who did Ken Russell's Whore with Teresa Russell.
Oh shit.
Who's has done some recent things that I don't much care for, and has done some fairly distinguished things too. But they had creative differences. And John
Like,
Turteltaub totally
one of them
glosses
wanted it
over
to be
that.
good?
Yeah. That was probably the creative difference. Amir there's like, John Turteltaub, this is terrible. I mean, movies usually have a screenplay, and John Turteltaub's like, it's fine, we'll fix it in post. We got Jerry Bruckheimer, we can't lose.
Oh.
But
Well,
apparently they were richly rewarded for it. I mean, it made
Yeah.
I know.
Still had
I don't
the,
have $400 million, so
Yeah.
nothing I've done $400 million. So make all the crappy movies you want if they're making money, right?
I guess
Except
they
for all
get to
that gold you have.
keep making. Yeah, you're right.
Bruckheimer
I mean,
was
besides,
busy.
I meant besides that.
Bruckheimer also had the third Pirates of the Caribbean film come out this year too. I thought.
Oh,
In 2007,
I've still never seen any of the Pirates of the Caribbean sequels in their entirety. I've only seen the first one.
That's okay.
Yeah, you're
It's-
kind of good for
It's a
that.
sequel. It's a sequel of a
Yeah.
sequel of a sequel. It's
Well, of a thing adapted from a ride.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Remember when Disney tried to make the Haunted Mansion into a movie with Eddie Murphy?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That one really hurt.
Yeah. Guillermo del Toro's been trying to remake that too.
Really?
Yeah,
I
he's been
watched the
trying.
shit out of that.
I'm sure he'd improve it.
But he also wanted to do in the Mountains of Madness.
Right?
Right,
I
When
remember
Prometheus came out, he felt that was
Right.
too close to what he was going to do, so he's like, "No, fuck it."
There's no way whatever he was going to do was going to be as bad as Prometheus. I mean, I'm not a huge Del Toro fan, but I just don't believe that of him. It's like you're better than
I
Ridley
am.
Scott. Jeez.
Meh.
I mean, he was able to make a good scene come out of a movie like Pacific
Yeah.
Rim.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Not a great movie, but he made it good for what it could have been.
Yeah,
He took
exactly.
a good idea out of it. It could have been really, really bad, like an asylum thing. But he made it
The only
fun.
thing that could have made it better is if somebody had fucked a fish.
Well, that's in the sequel.
Then it's Oscar territory.
Well, I love him because I love Pan's Labyrinth, and I love that he gave me in Crimson Peak. He gave me a nice glimpse at some ass, some Tom Hiddleston ass.
Oh yeah, we don't get to do your segment this episode, do we? There was no clothes coming off in there.
No,
Say it
clothes
anyway.
off.
Say it anyway.
I want his clothes off.
You have to do that. You got to watch
Clothes
Midnight
off.
Cowboy.
Well, do we face this off, I guess? Is there anything else we
Everybody's
haven't
talking and-
uncaged?
Are there other movies we could talk about besides this movie?
Yeah.
It's kind of our
Well,
theme. We
yeah.
start talking about the movie, and then we're just, let's go over here.
Let's
With-
talk about
with the sequel this thoroughly derailed. You almost have to. It's right up there with Captain America: Winter Soldier and Thor: The Dark World.
why don't they just do a quasi, not even, well, like a soft reboot with Nick Cage starring in a soft reboot of Song of the South? Disney could do it. I mean, let's talk
I was
about
hoping
that.
you'd say
Well,
a soft
apparently-
porn.
Disney apparently can't fail. No matter what happens, they just get stronger. So they could remake Birth of a Nation and they'd be fine.
Dear God.
It would not hurt them. They're like, it's not
Oh.
racist when Disney does it,
That's right.
and their lawyers would agree, and anybody who said otherwise would get sued so thoroughly.
Yeah.
Oh, I own your ass. Oh.
Well, what do you know? Oh.
So face off.
The game was called Epic Mickey because it's about roofies.
Before we get to that, I gotta say that there were a lot of connections in this. Like Voight's daughter, the Crypt Keeper, took an acting class with Ed Harris and his wife, Amy Madigan.
I'm glad you brought up the Crypt Keeper. The first Lara Croft movie was way, way better than National Treasure.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
okay, I'll allow it.
somehow.
And it had Rimmer. And Voight's first wife was Bartha's teacher, the guy who plays Riley. And last but not least, the palace guard is Peter Woodward, and he's the son of Edward Woodward, what an unfortunate name, who was in the original Wicker Man, the better Wicker Man.
He's the son
Wicker
of
Man
Humbert
Prime.
Humbert?
Yes.
Hello there. Been drinking,
Humbert,
have we?
Humbert.
What's the matter with the Blights are enjoying his whiskey? Haggis!
Harris.
Oh, boy.
Don't pay attention to that. This is more interesting over here, my marital dispute.
Donnie, who did you have?
I wanted to go more entertaining, so I put this in the 80s. So this was going to be a rock musical. And for Ben Gates, we were going to have Paul Stanley. Riley Poole would be Ace Frehley. Patrick Gates would be Peter Criss.
All
and
right.
Abigail Chase would be Gene Simmons in drag. And Mitch Wilkinson would be played by Ronnie James Dio. And they would all be after a diamond
Yes.
record.
Well, if you're putting Gene Simmons in drag, you have to put John Stamos and Vanity in there somewhere. It's just
We're not remaking Too Young to Die.
yes, we are.
Ugh.
Oh God. I mean, I bless your heart for it, but Jesus.
Tom, did you want to go next?
Sure. So I know this is like 3 weeks too late on Twitter, but I think it would make it an acceptable movie if you simply replaced all the cast with Muppets.
Yeah.
Yes.
Ben Gates is played by Kermit the Frog. You got Riley's played by Gonzo, but you leave Ed Harris. You just give him a better script.
Yeah. He can hold a knife to Miss Piggy.
If you just recast the Ed Harris in this movie with the Ed Harris from Just Cause with Sean Connery, like that would just fix everything. He'd just murder the whole cast one by one. How did they look? How did they smell?
I think we came to the conclusion that the Wicker Man would have been better with the Muppets cast too.
Yeah, that's true.
That's the Great Muppet Caper.
Yeah, Great Muppet Caper 2, Book of Secrets. It's it's
Oh no, we're making the Great Muppet Gaper.
Jesus Christ.
You can visit our Patreon at patreon.com/cageskiss.
Please send us your doubloons.
We want to dive into them.
Oh, you know what? I actually read Herman Melville this week. Speaking of doubloons,
Wow.
and I kind of wish that. Well, okay, so it's Melville, and I'm gonna die someday, so I went short. I didn't read. Billy Budd or Moby Dick or anything. I read this little Dover edition that had Bartleby and Benito Serrano. And Benito Serrano was so delightfully racist, except for the delightful part, but very much the racist part.
Yeah, you get those unfortunate authors like H.P. Lovecraft.
Yeah, no, but that's the thing is like I read a lot of like early 20th century and 19th century authors. I read a lot of this stuff. And even considering what I usually read, racist.
Yeah. So, did you have a face-off, Adrian?
Well, I'd like to reframe the entire sequel to make it one of those where it's a sequel in name only. So you make it like The Sting 2, where you have a character you have a character who claims to be the cousin of Cage's character in the first movie. So he still has to defend the Gates' honor, but he has to do it from an entirely different person. So, so in those lines, I say, I don't know. You put Jackie Gleason in there as the father. Maybe Scott Glenn as the Ben Gates cousin, and Sybil Danning all over again, although playing a different character, because this is the low rent sequel to my recasting, my Face Off of National Treasure 1 as an 80s adventure movie.
There we go.
Yeah. And for the director, I don't know, maybe Peter Hunt. And Edward Fox is in there somewhere, because British guy.
Okay, well, for my face-off for the first one was naked Idris Elba, naked Ewan McGregor as Riley, and then Asa Akira, of course. And so in this one, National Pleasure 2. Idris Elba and Ewan are going to be like in a little kiddie pool full of melted butter, and they're just going at it. And then Asa Akira comes in, and she's
in a lobster costume.
Obviously.
The question is, who has the high ground?
Yes.
Well, I'd say Ewan's a power bottom, so
I hope that butter's clarified.
and they find out that the Book of Secrets is in Asa Akira, and they're going to help her get it out. With their dukes. Of course, it's going to be directed by Dino Velvet. National Pleasure 2. Bam.
It's like Pancake's house.
The National Gape of Secrets.
You can visit our Patreon page at patreon.com/cageskiss.
Ewan McGregor, that reminds me of the other book I finished this week. I read The Picture of Dorian Gray.
Oh.
All right.
That's Ewan McGregor all over. He sold his soul.
Yeah, but we still love him.
Of course we do.
Not as well.
And that
So-
ass. All right. So anybody have any cagey wisdom?
Dear God.
Don't go sticking your hand inside old rock holes.
Don't go ripping
Don't
off
stick your
scenes from
hand in
old
that hole.
Audrey Hepburn movies.
Yes,
Don't stick your hand in that hole.
that's right.
Do it. You know you won't.
Jesus.
Tom, did you find any wisdom?
I mean, I think the most important thing is just learn to say no.
Mhm.
Like, when it comes to not every opportunity is gonna, be the right opportunity.
Yeah,
That's
it's
fair.
Not
like
right
remake
But,
the
I
Jim
mean, I
Carrey.
don't think
ad.
that's-
yes.
Yeah,
Just trust
yes,
the-
ma'am.
Yes.
True.
Also, Ed Harris's character, what was not a white woman on the internet, so there's no reason for everybody to believe what he said. I mean, they could just let it go.
God damn it. Is that your wisdom?
Bravo.
Yeah, yeah. Check your privilege, Vanilla Queen.
My wisdom is if you share the same family name with one of the richest computer geniuses in the world, maybe you don't have to worry so much about the reputation of your family's name. Also, it's pretty goddamn easy to kidnap the POTUS.
Yeah,
For
apparently.
some reason.
Oh,
much
he looked like
gotta
a little
distract
pig. It came
Yeah.
down with the POTUS.
Just give him like a magic trick. Like, where'd my thumb go? Where'd my thumb go?
Okay, so like he got through the president, but he still hasn't dealt with the lizard aliens yet. I mean, like, let's be
Yeah.
real. There are more layers to this.
Hopefully that's in part 3. They have to save the Earth from the reptilians.
From the phobic.
The Illuminati will destroy you and all you know.
They have to save the world from flat earthers and lizard folk.
Yes.
Yes.
I have read the first 2 books of the Shaver Mystery, and it is delightful.
Oh. Oh God, that one. That is a read. Oh boy. Oh, and I should tell all our listeners that if it's available streaming, no longer on Netflix, but it is on Disney Plus if you have that. Or
Oh,
you
yes,
could just go
yes.
to Half Price Books and find it there, probably.
Yeah. Disney Plus. Speaking of sponsors, check out disneyplus.com/Cage's Kiss.
Yeah. Put in our code to save $5.
We were just joking about like Disney earlier. That's just playful because we love them. Question mark? Please don't sue us.
Not the slightest bit of offense intended.
Oh, I'm gonna have your ass for breakfast.
I taste copper.
The hair metal band Rat was originally called Mickey Rat, and I think they should have stuck to their guns.
Jesus Christ.
But they're awesome, man.
There's Adrian's wisdom for you.
Well, where can the people find us?
Yes, please listen, follow, rate, and review Cage's Kiss, especially on Apple Podcasts or Podchaser. It helps people find us, other people find us, and please tell all your friends, family, enemies, dogs, proctologists, whatever. Tell people about us. Help us get the word out because we could really use it. Also, check out our cool stuff on YouTube. We make YouTube videos for each episode, and they feature awesome Adrian arts.
Whoa.
You can also check out our Patreon at www.patreon.com/CagesKiss. For just a couple bucks a month, you can get some awesome goodies like stickers, buttons, and a Cage Kiss ringtone. And yes, for $35, you can get some Adrian arts. And remember, you can find us at Facebook and on Twitter at Cages Kiss. You can visit our website at cageskiss.com for more of that delicious Adrian art. And you can write to us. We love emails at cageskiss@gmail.com. Send us your dick pics. And I'd like to say, check out my other show, Bedknobs and Broomflicks. We just discussed Bear, the koala rescuing dog in Australia. And on Wednesday, we're going to be discussing the final movie in Argento's Mother's trilogy, Mother of Tears.
Oh, you really don't need to
Pray
watch
for me.
that one, though.
I really wish I didn't.
Just watch
Adrian,
Luigi Cozy's the Black Cat instead.
I would much rather, trust me. What you got,
Well,
Adrian?
you can find me on Patreon too, under Wheel the Fox, all one word, all lowercase. And once again, I'd like to thank my pals at Book of Lies for being my faithful supporters on there.
Yay! We love Book of Lies so much.
Yay. And I'm also on DeviantArt. Both things get updated with my artworks. That's also under Leo the Fox. And I have a YouTube too. Go find those things.
Donnie?
What?
Are you on PornTube or what?
Lurking in their
No.
bathroom,
I
like
am
hiding in
the
the showers.
You can find me surfing porn at your local library without the use of a VPN because fuck the police. I'm also the boy who blew over on Pornhub. It is an actual thing, and do please follow us. And I'm also Unreal Goals on the Twitter.
And you can also find him poking out like a ghoulie from your toilet.
It's a living.
Tom, can you tell us about your podcast?
Oh yeah, sure. So I've got a podcast called The Deddy Bones Show. It is a kind of old-fashioned radio drama. So I write, perform, record, edit, do the whole thing myself. You can find it on just about every major streaming platform. You find me on Twitter at Deddy Bones. You'll find it on Spotify, on iTunes. Again, rate, comment, all that good stuff that helps support people. You
Do
can
I
email
sound
me.
like I'm on old time radio?
God damn it.
Yeah, yes.
This isn't about you, Adrian.
And again,
Yes, it is,
who let
Margo.
you out of the bathroom? You belong in the kitchen.
I believe we locked you in the bathroom, Donnie.
You guys really ought to check out his show. It's
I actually
pretty
would. That
amazing.
sounds fun.
And
Thanks.
I feel kind of dumb, but like I didn't even realize that it was
Well,
you.
you are a ditzy blonde.
Yeah, god damn it. Shut up, you whore. But I didn't even realize that it was you doing the voice in the second episode about sleep disorders.
Oh yeah, my wife hates that voice. Just
You're
just
really
put it up to
talented.
the higher register, and then you just really go really quiet and just breathy with your voice. And it's just she just doesn't like it when I just talk to her like this. I mean,
This is now my
When you start sounding like a golf
ASMR.
announcer,
Well,
if you're
it's
doing
really
some
good.
NPR.
And it's a very unique unique idea for a podcast. I love it.
well, thanks. Yeah, I always try to do something different.
Yeah.
Yay, different.
Mom says we're different.
Ain't what I intended. I think I drank too much mercury during the pregnancy.
She always says, "Oh yeah, they're different."
I
Your
was hoping
daddy's
they'd
favorite
emerge in a
mistake.
vegetative state and I get that money from the government.
Jesus.
Well, you'll be hearing from us again next week with Bangkok Dangerous.
Dun, dun, dun.
Finally happening.
Do not lie.
Bangkok Dangerous.
Yes.
But
There's a
is
joke
it?
in there somewhere, but I can't say it on the podcast.
You can't. It's a really good one.
Really can't say it.
Oh, it's so good though. But yeah, until then, Donnie punched a kid in the toilet.
And Michael Eisner shot a kid in front of his parents.
Cheetos. That's it. Linda, oh my god. The nickname they gave to POTUS is President Cheeto. Cheeto causes dust. And what do you use to remove dust? Toilet paper. He has the world's softest triple ply toilet paper and he never uses it. If we can get into the White House, we can find this and find clues with the Cheeto dust left on this toilet paper unused, and it can lead us to the golden toilet.
Adrian, you want to pull out a gun?
I'm gonna edit this out. Well, yeah, I'm gonna pull a gun now. How else are you gonna help me?
We discovered the secret and no one will know.
I just decided you're our Rich Evans, so that's staying in.
Oh.
Cage, 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 peach. I could eat a peach for hours.
Whatever. What
Whatever,
sentence?
right? It's just
Yeah.
your future,
It's
right?
fine.
Fuck it.
Right.
Hi, I'm Melissa,
I'm Amy. And I'm Kate.
and together we make up the Drunk Dish podcast. Love history, love food, love getting absolutely fucking blitzed. Then Drunk Dish is the podcast for you.
Every episode, we explore the quirky and sometimes dark side of food history, adding political commentary and our own flair for the dramatic.
And every episode, we try a new drink and learn the history of our favorite cocktails.
And we drink while we do it. Find us on Google, Apple, Spotify, or wherever you listen to podcasts. We hope that you listen to us soon. Bye.
Bye.